And gents, it's your boy Rocco Yaps. Today we're gonna be yapping about a lot of stuff that happened throughout the week. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First thing is a done deal. Yes, done deal. It was speculations and it seemed pretty much confirmed, and now it's a done deal. Wilder versus Chisora. Wilder currently sitting at 44 victories, 43 of them by knockout, 4 defeats, 1 draw. Will be facing off against Derek Chisora with 36 victories, 13 losses, 0 draws, and 23 victories coming by way of knockout. Both of these fighters, funny enough, both of these fools have 49 fights in total, which means when they face each other off, they will be both of their 50th fight in professional boxing. Wilder is also a 40-year-old man, and Chisora is a 42-year-old man. So this is pretty close. This is a banging fight. This is actually a fight that, in my opinion, should have happened way back in the day when like Wilder was still WBC champion. In my opinion, like even even like in between the second, like the rematch and the third fight between him and Fury, this could have also been a fight. But I think in general, more when Wilder was world champion for the WBC, especially since Chisora has never been world champion. He's always been interim champ, but most of the time he's been WBC interim champ many times in the past. So that's why I say like this fight is one of those fights that honestly should have happened a long time ago. A lot of fights in heavyweight especially seem like they should have just happened a long time ago but never did. This is one of them, and even though yeah, they're both older, they're both like on the end of their careers and either a lot or a little beyond their prime. It's still a good fight. It's still going to be a classic fight to watch, especially if, Wilder can succeed. He could then proceed to Usyk, which Usyk was very vocal that he wants to fight Wilder, but obviously Wilder needs to be put in the rankings first before he could go challenge a world title holder. So it just makes sense that like someone like Derek Chisora was his perfect match to not only put him back in the rankings, but show us the public that he is ready to come back and be taken serious enough to allow him in a way to go fight Alexander Usyk, the unified champion of the heavyweight division right now. But this fight will take place in April 4th of this year, 2026, in London, which is fucking, it's just cool. And it makes sense. Obviously, a lot more people are going to watch it over there than here. Uh, but the second thing we have on kind of connects to this. It's the Fury return. Yes, the return of the Gypsy King against Makhmudov. Now, Fury obviously retiring, not retiring, retiring, coming back. But there, like I said, the heavyweight division has many, many fights where we're just like were the fights to make. It was a no-brainer that these fights should have been made, but just never were made. And now it seems like we're possibly gonna get them. And one of those fights was Fury versus Anthony Joshua, the two biggest heavyweight champions and superstars in British heavyweight boxing, maybe ever. Maybe ever in terms of superstardom. And they both existed at the same time, and we could have got them when they were champions at the same time as well and stuff like that. We just never got them. But Fury, it seems like we're finally gonna get that Fury Joshua, but later in down the year, maybe around September. But first, it seemed like Fury and Joshua wanted, mainly Fury and his team wanted a in between fight, a kind of tuna fight to come back to the ring, since Tyson Fury has been out of the ring for over a year now. And I did make a video where I predicted that Makhmudov was going to be a an opponent that was going to be choosing between Fury and Joshua as their return fights. Because, like I said earlier this year, Fury was going to fight someone else, Joshua was going to fight someone else. If they both win, they fight later down the road this year. That's the deal. But in my opinion, I thought Makhmudov was one of the top three contenders, if not top two, for both of them. I thought if Joshua doesn't take him, Fury's going to take him. If Fury doesn't take him, Joshua's going to pick him to be their comeback fight. And as you can see, it seems like the right choice not the right choice, but a good choice was made that Fury picked Makhmudov as his return fight. And this fight between Makhmudov and Fury is taking place a week after um, Wilder and Chisora. This is taking place the 11th. I don't know why I said that shit like that. My bad. The April 11th of 2026 in London. So it's like, in my opinion, it's like, why not just give that extra week to Chisora and Wilder, and just have Chisora and Wilder be like a co-main event fight? Because obviously, in my opinion, Fury versus Makhmudov, even if not by a lot, just very slim, is still a little bit more of a bigger household fight than Chisora and Wilder. And yeah, I don't like it's. I mean, it just seemed like a cool thing to just, especially because, how do I explain? Like, Netflix, if you've seen all their fights, they have done nothing more than just big fight after big fights, big mega fights. And I'm not saying this isn't, but I'm just saying alone, it doesn't hold a candle to like Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, Anthony, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Maybe to like the Serrano stuff, like maybe that. But I just think it would have been a bigger thing to have Tyson Fury versus Makhmudov as main event, and then co-main event you have Wilder versus Derek Chisora, and then whoever you want to put in the undercard. That's my opinion. I just think it would have made the night a lot more worthy to watch. It would have been a lot better for us as fans and consumers of the fight. And it would have been a lot better for Netflix too to have somebody like Wilder facing off against a good fighter like Chisora as his comeback fight. That if he wins, allows him to fight Usyk, just like how if Fury wins, it allows him to fight Joshua later down the road. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think they should have, whoever was in charge. I know obviously the Chisora and Wilder fight came first, but I don't see why they can't just go back to the drawing board and be like, hey, you know what? Let's just add ourselves. Let's just see if we can add ourselves to Netflix's show that's going to be hosting the return of the Gypsy King versus Makhmudov the 11th, a week later after our event, or a little bit more than a week, That's just my opinion, though. Next thing, this is a little bit, but, of a news thing, but I did want to add it, is Usyk to sign with Zuffa Boxing. Alexander Usyk apparently holds talks with Dana White ahead of Zuffa Boxing launch, which already did happen. I'm pretty sure they're getting prepared to make their second event, which, if you guys want a video about my opinions on Zuffa so far, that's for a whole nother video. Let me know down in the comments. But nothing has been confirmed as of yet, nor has anything been signed as of yet. But it's said that there is confirmed dialogue. Like, yes, these two motherfuckers did meet. Specifically talking about Usyk and Dana White. They have met. They have conversated. They have negotiated and talked to each other about, like, Usyk joining Zuffa Boxing. But details have not been public, or they haven't been released at all. Everything remains secret except for the fact that yes, Usyk did have conversation with Dana White about Zuffa Boxing, specifically about Zuffa Boxing. More specifically about joining Zuffa Boxing. So, my opinion, like I said, this is a bad like move. Like, I personally believe it was a bad move for somebody like El Rayo, who was world champion. He was just had to do a comeback fight after being defeated by Gary Russell, or Joe Pataya, who, like, in my opinion, if Matchroom Boxing is having a difficult time gaining these fights for you in terms of unification and undisputed before going to heavyweight, then what the fuck is Zuffa Boxing gonna do? But at the end of the day, they could prove us wrong. Only time will tell. Now, the 154-pound unification showdown. This shit is going to be exciting. Unfortunately for your boy, I just don't got the fucking time or budget to be making 3 videos at the same time for three different fights that are going on this very Saturday, the 31st of January. Like this one, for example, Xander Zayas, who is 22 victories, 13 by knockout, 0 defeats, 0 draws, will be facing off against Abbas Barao, who is 17 victories, 9 by KO, 1 defeat, 0 draws. They will be fighting for a unification bout the 31st of January in 2026 of this year in Puerto Rico, where Zayas is from. Now, this is between the unification bout for the WBA and WBO World Championship titles at 154 pounds, which, I mean, it's very exciting. In my opinion, it's very exciting because if I was to say right now off the top of my dome without doing a real deep dive in, without a doubt, the 154-pound division is the most stacked division right now. So that we're getting these unification fights already is exciting. Fun fact: both of these fighters have never fought as world champions. Uh, how do I explain this? Xander Zayas fought for the belt that was vacant against another fighter, and he won it. I think Barao also did the same thing, or Barao got elevated after Crawford left the division to go fight Canelo and never came back. So these two guys are for the first time in their careers defending their world championship belt against each other since winning it. So that's something, in my opinion, a little fun fact for you guys. These guys have never fought as world champions. They fought for the world championship belt, but they've never fought as champions. This is the first time both fighters will be fighting as champions ever in their career, and it will be the first time ever defending the world championship status against another champion. Now, like I said, usually I make a whole video about not only the fight but the whole fight card. Who do I think is gonna win? Why do I think they're gonna win? The percent chance, what way they're gonna win, and I upload that video the day before the fight, and then the day after the fight, after we watched it, I upload a video in response to see how raw. I don't know why I sounded like a fucking British fool there. How right or how wrong I was in my predictions, and what is next for the winners. Now, like I said, there's three fights going on tomorrow. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson is the biggest one, so that's the one I'm going to be covering. Like I said, I don't have the time nor the fucking budget to push out 3 videos for you guys tomorrow, Friday, and then on Sunday also push out 3 videos. I just can't do it. I'm sorry, I don't have time or the money to pay someone to fucking help me out. But I will be including in that video the victors of this fight, who I do have a 75% chance of victory via unanimous decision for Xander Zayas. But if Xander Zayas does get a late early stoppage, I think it would be around the 9th to 12th round via TKO. I don't think he knocks out Barao. I think he does stop him though, like the doctor has to get in or the ref has to get in, something like that. Now, this fight is also a very good fight, an interesting fight, because it's also dictating the future of the 154-pound division, just like the previous one I mentioned. And unfortunately, it's also taking fucking place in the 31st of January. This is Murtazaliev, aka known as the Boogeyman, of 154 pounds, at 23 victories, 17 by knockout, 0 defeats, 0 losses. He's going to be defending his IBF world title belt at 154 pounds against Josh Kelly with 17 victories, 9 by knockout, 1 defeat, 1 draw. They will be facing off January 31st, 2026 in England. For Murtazaliev, like I said, for Murtazaliev's 154-pound IBF title of the world. This is Kelly's first time ever fighting for a world championship level belt against a world championship level fighter. This is a banging fucking fight. But like I said, I will be including this and the Zayas versus Barao fight in my Teofimo and Shakur aftermath video, because like I said, I just don't have the time or the budget to make a whole video for this card also. But I will be watching this whole card as well as the other two. And I do have an 80% chance of victory for Murtazaliev by 9th to 12th round TKO or decision. If he does go decision, I think it will be a lot harder for Murtazaliev to get a victory via decision. But I just think he's just I just think Kelly doesn't have the power to push him back, nor to make Mortazaliev respect him and not stop pushing and pressuring forward. And I don't know if Josh Kelly could withstand the Russian power that Mortazaliev has. Now, this is interesting because, like I said, say if Zayas wins versus Barao, he becomes a unified WBO and WBA world champion. And if Mortazaliev retains his IBF title successfully against Kelly, then that's a potential fight we could see in the future. Because, the only other champion is the WBC champion, who is currently Sebastian Fundora. He was going to face off against Keith Thurman, but then got injured. So we don't know if after his injury is healed and he comes back, he'll be then being like, okay, well, I had this planned out before my injury. I'm gonna do it again, and then get back into negotiations, and sign a contract with Keith Thurman. So that means that belt is on pause for a little bit for Mortazaliev or Xander Zayas. So it'd be, do I defend my belts against a not champion and risk my belt and losing, or do I risk it in a much bigger fight for much glory against another world champion, aka Mortazaliev and Xander Zayas, if both of them come out victorious this Saturday 31st of January, which in my opinion is a good fucking thing for the division, because it would be a lot easier for these high level contenders to get shot at world championship belts, since there'll only be one guy. Like, imagine one undisputed champion and he's facing off against Vergil Ortiz, Tim Tszyu, John Boots Ennis. He can maybe even Makhmadaliev. You can get Tim Tszyu's little brother is climbing the ranks. I mean, that would probably motivate Charlo to come out of retirement. Keith Thurman, that could probably motivate finally Errol Spence Jr. to get back in the ring. All these stuff. So, yeah, the future 154-pound division is looking like it's very important January 31st. So that's why, like I said, look out for these fights. Another breaking news, not about fights, but Tank behind bars. Yes, Gervonta, aka Tank Davis, was arrested Wednesday, January 28th, 2026 in Miami. This was almost a little bit more than 2 weeks after his public warrant was issued. If you guys don't remember, there was a warrant that was publicly in the news in Miami about the arrest warrant that they issued for Tank, and 2 weeks passed by before they finally arrested him. As of the making of this video, they're doing my research for this video. Nothing has been said or shown other than his mugshot and that he's just the words that he's behind bars. Now, this is important via boxing wise, because this made the WBA fully strip the WBA 135-pound world title belt from Gervonta Tank Davis. Previously, it was going to be put on pause. He was going to be the champ in recess, meaning we're going to continue giving these guys a world title shot, but on paper you're still the world champion. And when you come back, you'll be given a first shot to a world title if you want. But with this news of him being not only having an arrest warrant, but then getting arrested and now being behind bars, WA, I guess that was enough for WA to be like, nope, that's enough for us to know that it's just not worth waiting for him. He has no case to make with us, because you can make your case with them to be like, no, my court case is not going to take that long. Keep me as world champion, so when I'm done with this bullshit, this legal bullshit, I could go back to fighting and being the champion again. I guess the WBA saw this and was like, there's no case to be made with us. We're going to move on. So they stripped him of the belt. And now we just got to see who exactly will be the fight that will crown the new WBA world champion. Whether they pick someone like Kit Schofield, who's very high ranked for the WBA, and I think he's even like international or interim champ for that belt organization. Like, have him fight someone else, or I don't know, like if two champions fight, have them also fight for that belt. Like, the WBA will be like, hey, you two champions are fighting, well, we're gonna throw our belt in there because it's vacant and we need a champion to represent us at 135 pounds. So, Andy Cruz just had a very successful I mean, he lost, but it was a very good fight against a very tough opponent, a very tough world champion. So it's like I said, you can have Kit Schofield versus Andy Cruz, and then Andy Cruz now being a world champion could then be like, hey, let me get that rematch with and unify for the IBF and WBA. So that is the future of 135 pounds now that Tank Davis is behind bars. Last thing of today, we have, like I said, the fight that I will be taking coverage is the Teofimo versus Shakur. Teofimo not 100% mentally there can be an issue for those who are betting for Teofimo to win. Uh, they had their very last press conference yesterday, the Wednesday. They they had their very last press conference before the weigh-in and then the day of the fight. Shakur and his team are saying that they witnessed with their very own eyes Teofimo Senior, so the dad and the main coach for Teofimo Lopez, that apparently he was wasted, that he looked like he was off some shit, whether it was drugs or alcohol or a mixture, whether that fool was crossfaded or whatever. That fool was off his fucking rockers. That fool was in the lounge in the lobby of the hotel that they're staying in, and that he was just fucking wasted. And this didn't look good because in the press conference, like I said, one of the most important, if not the most important fight of your son's career, and it's the very last press conference, you're not present. Teofimo Sr. was nowhere near present. Like I said, not only is he his father, but he's his trainer. So obviously, you ask trainers are up there because you ask them questions as well about how the fighter looks and what he's doing and how motivated is he for this fight and yada yada, all that shit. Teofimo Sr. wasn't nowhere to be found. That fool was nowhere to be heard, nowhere to be seen. Uh, the only thing Teofimo Lopez could say about his father was that, he's in the back recovering. He said something about like, hey, give my dad a break. He's 57 years old and he had 2 heart attacks. Like, obviously, he, like, implying that that's the reason, like, health wise, to take it easy. He's not there going to be back and forthing with Shakur. And that's why he wasn't there. And that Shakur and his team are making up stories about his father being drunk or faded or cross-faded and disrupting peace. But also, uh, Shakur and his team even made a joke because Shakur was like, "I bought your father a gift," and he opened a gift, like little wrapping bag, and it was a big ass bottle of tequila, and he was basically saying like, your dad's not here not because of hell. Like, your dad's not here because he's fucking hungover. Like, we know your dad's hungover as fuck. He was having a wild fucking last night. This is for your dad since he seems to love alcohol. Just being like getting into Teofimo's head. And this did seem to make things awkward and uncomfortable for Teofimo as he was just sitting there, kind of by himself in a way. He was just by himself facing off against not only Shakur, but Shakur's team. Like, it was just like 3v1ing, and uh just that bring up the father and like him acting a fool in the lobby because he was either drunk or on drugs or on both, made things seem uncomfortable. And like I said, we're already 2 days away from the fight, so this is not something you want your fighter, whether he's your son or not, to be dealing with 2 days before the biggest, if not one of the biggest, if not the biggest fight of his career. That's happening 2 days. It's just not something you want to see. And then plus in interviews, Shakur and his team are saying they even have video proof that they're not lying. That Teofimo Senior was making a ruckus, that he was causing a scene, that he was visibly fucking tripping off some shit. And yeah, it just doesn't look good for Teofimo. There's still gonna be a banging fight, but this just may sway some people who know about boxing, may sway them to not be too confident or not want to in general um bet or put their hopes and money on Teofimo being victorious January 31st against Shakur Stevenson. Now, like I said, that was the last thing. So thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for making it so far. Thank you for taking time out of your day. if you haven't yet, or you guys are new, please hit the subscribe button. It helps in letting me know that to continue doing what I'm doing. I do want to continue making videos for you guys, and liking and subscribing is like the best way to let me know that you guys appreciate it as well, so I could keep going. Uh, Also, check out my other stuff if you want. You can check out my track record, so that way when I post tomorrow's video, you guys could be more confident or not to take my word. But that being said, stay tuned for tomorrow's video on the my predictions for the full fight card for Teofimo and Shakur. And yeah, have a good one. God bless.